Hello YouTube, it has been a little while, hasn't it? We are thankful that you stuck around and waited for us while we made some decisions. We're gonna let you know what those decisions are a little later, but first, we got a whole bunch of stuff to catch you up on. Last thing we kind of shared in video was that we were having some major issues.
A lot of different bus issues. We're not able to shift consistently. At the end, they gave us an astronomical quote.
And when Don drove the bus off the ferry, the entire ferry dropped. It's known as the best place to live in Texas. I've never heard of it.
It's not gonna be an easy task, but I'm up for it. Everything was going fine till my airline snapped on me.
Has been a rough morning. We're currently staying just a little bit south of San Antonio at a boondocker's welcome, and our host Gerald has a workshop and is kindly letting us do some much needed work on the bus. But it's been a little while, so let's jump back to January and get you caught up. Last thing we kind of shared in video was that we were having some major issues. We have no idea what's wrong. Got back on the freeway, we couldn't get past fourth gear.
We're not able to shift consistently. We had some oil leaks out of the alternator. Discovered that when we went to hook up our Jeep, the signals weren't working. We were gearing up to drive down to Port Aranis today. Got the Jeep hooked up for the first time in a month, and the flashers, turn signals, none of that information is coming from the bus to the Jeep's turn signals.
We spent 3 hours troubleshooting the problem and couldn't figure it out. So we ended up just driving separately. We're in Port Aranis on Mustang Island, and it's been a really great place to stay. It was our first time taking the bus on a ferry. This is a small ferry. And when Don drove the bus off the ferry, the entire ferry, like the side I was on, like dropped like a good foot or two. But there's no way to really get the problem fixed in those areas, so we were just kind of waiting to slowly get closer to Corpus Christi, which is the next sort of big town that we could find a mechanic that could help us.
Now we're going to tell you how all of this pans out, of course, but before we do, here's a message from future Mela and Don.
Thank you to Mint Mobile for partnering with us for this video.
When we started traveling, we tried every big wireless company out there because we knew we needed to stay connected. But it was expensive.
So we started using Mint Mobile's unlimited talk and text and mobile hotspot to stay connected.
With plans as low as $15 a month, they're built on the nation's largest 5G network. The same network we found we prefer to use while we're on the road. Switching to Mint was super easy. They offer eSIM cards, which most phones have now, and I was able to sign up and activate in just moments using my phone. If your phone doesn't have an eSIM, Mint will ship you a new SIM card for free.
Big wireless companies aren't the only option. Right now, Mint Mobile is offering new customers any plan for just $15 a month when you purchase 3 months or more. This includes the unlimited plan, which is normally $30 a month.
Why should you pay more than you have to get access to the same great network?
Go to trymintmobile.com/rehabitate to get premium wireless for just $15 a month.
We'll include that link first thing in the description below. So we found a mechanic. We kind of just stayed in one area for a little while, then we moved about half an hour and stayed there for a few days, and then we lined it up to go visit the mechanic. On the way out of the park to go visit the mechanic, I said, why don't we just hook the Jeep up and see if it works?
Just try, because he spent more days troubleshooting.
Yes, everything worked fine independently. It just didn't work once we hooked it up. Until that day. We plugged it in. And it worked again.
And I gotta say, like, it was really weird because we had this terrible weather. Like, the weather had been so cold and rainy and windy and stormy, and we'd spent so many days inside the bus just like waiting out this weather. And the sunshine came out finally that morning. We don't know why it didn't work before, but it was working. And then we went to the mechanic. Today is the big day that we hopefully get the bus issue diagnosed, the shifting problem.
Got to the mechanic because they had a Allison transmission certified diagnostic person and the computer system. We waited for, what, almost 3 hours for them to come, and we left the bus running the whole time because, as you might remember, the longer we ran the bus, that's when our issues happened. They finally came, they hooked it up, and they had no errors. All of our transmission connections, clutches, everything had a green light. They checked the engine. There were no errors or codes on the engine, so there's nothing in the sensors in the entire bus that should have been giving us an issue. From there, they just decided the best thing to do would be to let the transmission relearn its shifting pattern. So they reset the transmission, so on our drive back out to our next camping spot where we're at now, the bus basically learned how to shift up and back down again, and that became its pattern of normalcy. And we had no issues shifting.
And you said it shifted really well.
It shifted well, everything worked fine, and we haven't had a problem since. So until we do another like 3 or 4 hour travel day, we won't be certain that things are resolved, but it sure seemed like it.
Yeah.
And that, just like Mela said, that horrible weather we had, we were pretty down in the dumps. We were upset about what we should do about continuing YouTube, as you saw in our videos and chats.
Everything just like suddenly wasn't a problem anymore. It was like, how much did we spend? $100 for the diagnosis and for him to reset the thing?
But it felt like just a few things in a row clicked, and ever since then we've kind of felt pretty positive.
I don't know if it makes sense, but it also makes complete sense at the same time,
yeah.
Right?
If anybody's into is it astronomy? Then there's this thing about Mercury and retrograde and everything goes crazy. I don't know exactly what it is, but that might be the best.
Well, it was the wolf moon.
Yeah.
That was the same day that it was the wolf moon.
Yep. Wolf moon came out. The bus got a clear diagnostic. The taillights worked. The sunshine came out, and we were in much better spirits.
Yeah.
Jumping ahead here, a few things have happened. First of all, I grew a beard. How do you like that? Second of all, we decided we'd take the bus into that mechanic we'd been to before to find out about getting some bus maintenance things done that we wanted. We wanted to get the belts changed, the fan belts. Both those belts are looking a little rugged. We also asked them about our alternator, because as you remember, we're having trouble with it. At the end, they gave us an astronomical quote. Not only was it going to be really expensive, like $5,000, but they were also talking about outsourcing it. So we would drop it off with them, they'd send it to somebody else, and then call us when it was done. As you guys know, we live in this thing, that doesn't give us any place to go. We'd be homeless. So we decided, because those diagnostics for the engine and the transmission came back saying we had a clear, good bill of health, we decided, let's take it a little test, drive a little further. We made it up here near San Antonio, where the host himself has a workshop and is encouraging of those of us who are on the road that need to work our vehicles to work on them here. So today, I'm gonna try to change out those belts myself. I did a call with our friend Joe. You probably remember him. He's helped us out many times while we're on the road. I FaceTime with him, and he helped walk me through most of the steps for taking out the old belts and putting in some new ones. It's not going to be an easy task, but I'm up for it here this morning. I was pretty nervous about trying to replace these belts myself, because looking at the manual, it actually tells you that it requires 3 people and a lift. After talking to Joe, our mechanic friend, he had told me about a method that him and a lot of the mechanics use. Everything was going fine until my airline snapped on me, which means it's probably too brittle to begin with. Hopefully I can source part for this, or maybe have another one. My phone died while we were changing this out, but after that line snapped on me, we went ahead and moved forward, and I got the new belts in place. Gerald, our host here at the Boondockers Welcome Spot, was so helpful. He brought out a couple ladders, brought out some tools. Actually, he helped me get all the belts on there with some bars, pry bars, and used his impact driver to make sure the pulleys are secure and ready to go. I went to 5 different automotive stores and finally found a truck place that had airlines and adapters, and we kind of fashioned something together to fix that broken airline. This is the old belt that snapped. That was the old line that snapped. This is the new line that I put in. I just got it installed now, so we're gonna start up the bus and see if this worked. Alright, let's go check it out.
You okay, buddy? I'm sorry. We're not gonna go anyway though, okay? Poor Mr. Sweetface has had a rough day. Anytime Don's working on the bus or opening and closing luggage bays, he thinks it's a sign that we're gonna be traveling, so he runs down into the cat seater to his travel hiding spot. And he's been in and out of there all day.
We started up the bus and listening, something sounds weird. It's so strange that 5 years ago I knew nothing about diesel engines, and now I can hear when something's off. I've either swapped the pulleys or I put one in the wrong place, and looking back at my notes I've realized that for some reason I put the fan pulley in the wrong place on the left side, and it's supposed to be in the center.
Has been a rough morning. How many times did you have to go hide? Huh? So many. False alarm, right? No traveling today. It's okay, buddy.
Now I know somebody's gonna say these Ryobi's are pieces of junk. I already bought into the system a long time ago. I got so many of these batteries and tools that all use the same battery, and hopefully it lasts me for as long as I need it. So my top one I had originally put over here. I just moved it to the center. It feels pretty good. So now my next big project is flip on the switch and check our lights. So far we got 2 issues. I got one of my front top lights that's out, and then this back one here, which I couldn't see before, it's just solid. So I'm gonna go ahead and swap it out, see if it kicks on properly. Checking my back lights here, blinking as expected. Looks like we got a dead one here in the center, so I'm gonna pull out my bulbs and replace those real quick.
Yesterday we got to be tourists in San Antonio for the day. So of course we went to go see the Alamo, which is the famous Spanish mission where the Battle of Alamo happened. It represents for Texans the struggle and the heroic resistance to gain their independence from Mexico. And then of course the Riverwalk. This is down from the streetcar level, and it's steeped with history, lined with restaurants and art. And of course the Lovelock Bridge, where couples go and ceremoniously leave the lock to represent their everlasting love and then throw the keys into the river. We had to try some puffy tacos, which is unique to San Antonio. It's a little different than a corn tortilla, but it is made of corn and it's fried. I don't like corn tortillas, but this was actually a lot tastier. However they make it, it was yum. Wasn't crazy about the filling inside my taco. Don had a regular taco and his filling was much tastier, but we only had one day to go experiment with food in San Antonio, so if you're from San Antonio, write in the comments, where do you get the best puffy tacos? Don could not resist the crazy, wacky voodoo donuts on the way out, and then we headed to a free mission a little further south. There's nothing. It's closed up. The San Jose mission is the largest of the missions in San Antonio, and it's free to go in. I like that a lot. We loved the 18th century Spanish architecture. The idea behind these missions were the Spanish were basically trying to colonize the natives, convert them to Catholicism and teach them Western ways so that they could become taxpayers to the Spanish king.
So we originally planned to get new tires today, which we really want new tires. These tires have been on the bus for who knows how long. I think they were from 2019. The front ones are in really good shape, but it'd be nice to replace them. Unfortunately, the guy I've been talking to for like 2 weeks ghosted us. It looked like it was a reputable place here in San Antonio, and it was going to be a quick stop in the morning on the way to our next Boondockers Welcome.
So there's not much we can do about that, but we have to move on. So we're gonna head to the next spot and we'll have to find somewhere else to get tires done. And that's kind of the way our life rolls, so off we go. We've stopped at a truck stop. Don wants to just make sure the belts are all working correctly because it's the first time he's ever done anything like that. So he just wants to check before we go too much further. All good?
Yeah, everything looks good.
Okay.
Seems to be doing what it needs to do. We made it to our boondocker spot for the weekend. It's about halfway between San Antonio and Austin.
We decided to stop halfway because we heard about this cool little spot, New Braunfels.
New Braunfels?
Is it Braunfels or Braunfels? I don't know. You guys can tell me. Somebody down there is gonna know.
Is it New Braunfels or is it New Braunfels?
And Gruene. They're these cute little German towns, and apparently they're known as the best place to live in Texas. I'd never heard of it.
Me neither.
Never heard of it, so of course we had to go check it out.
So we headed out there this morning and we decided the first thing we were gonna do is go check out their park.
We went to the Lander Park, and it's along a river, and it was a really pretty walk. I was so excited when I found out there was tubing, and I thought that would be so fun to tube, but they don't start up the season of tubing for like another 2 weeks.
The water is so clear and it's a constant 72 degrees because it comes right out of this fresh spring there. So all year long it's 72 degrees and so crystal clear. You can see all the fish and everything swimming in the water. While we were walking around in the park, we saw a trail and it looked like it just went out into this wilderness area. So we went on a little hike, impromptu hike, and it was gorgeous. So we're just kind of walking around the park, doing our daily meditation, which we'll tell you about more in the weeks to come, possibly.
So nice to be back in the trees. Got some shade.
Yeah, it really was, I don't know, kind of a profound moment for me. Getting back into the woods, I was like, yes, I'm gonna be back in the woods. You gotta just get out and look for the magic.
And then our friend Mo said, head up to Gruene. And it's like an old historic district with so much history and so much charm and character.
Gruene sits up on the hill. It's known because it has one of the oldest dance halls in all of Texas. There was a little crepe place. Decided to have a little snack before lunch.
Oh, it was so good. It was just supposed to be a little snack, but it was so tasty.
And we walked around a little bit, looked at some of the shops before we went to the most famous restaurant in Gruene.
Gristmill. It was really fun and quirky, and the food is delicious and worth the wait. And And of course, when Don heard out that the oldest bakery in Texas was in New Braunfels, we had to go. Cute little German bakery since 1860.
And of course, they're German, so it's known for their strudels. Streusels?
Strudel.
Strudel. Yeah, I had a real bad time pronouncing anything.
It was a crash course today. We didn't have to work on the pronunciation. We had only a few hours to go and enjoy and learn. And we don't know how to pronounce everything yet.
I didn't know how to pronounce the tchotchkes.
Kolache. Yeah.
Which is another pastry. So they're best known for their strudel, so we got a peach strudel. Yeah, it's really fresh. It's not over sweet like a lot of pastries are, but it's definitely sweet enough. And the pastry dough is so nice. So we got peach strudel and a couple tchotchkes. Kolaches.
I think that's right.
And now we're back here at our boondocker spot for the night. We got to take the cats on a little walk.
Successful week though. A little bit of bus work, a little bit of fun. I'd say check. Good week.
Good week.
No, he's never been this way. Now, I know some of you are sitting in front of your screens going, but does this mean you guys are back or not? What's going on? It's Mela and Don from the future again. We've got some good news for you. We are coming back to YouTube.
We're gonna make some changes, some big, some small, but probably the biggest one will be, we're gonna change the name of the channel.
So make sure you stay tuned because on April 5th, we will be putting out a video that's going to announce this new name for the channel, our new mission for the channel, and the types of videos we're going to be putting out.
Now, a lot of you have got your phones open, put that date in your calendars, but if you want to get another notification, you can join up on our mailing list. We send out an email once a week. In our emails, we'll be making sure to announce when we have new videos out and a whole bunch of other exciting things as well.
So we'll see you April 5th. We can't wait to share with you what we have planned.